Good morning, everyone. It's Sal, Stretford Post. How you're doing? And welcome to another episode of Breaking Dawn. Hope you're doing good. Hope you're doing fine. Hope everyone's having a splendid Tuesday so far. Wherever you are in the world, guys, can I just ask for one small favor? Please don't forget to subscribe if you're new here. Please don't forget to smash a like on the video, put your notifications on, all that jazz. That'd be absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much, everyone who continues to support the channel. I really appreciate it. Of course. Now, let's get into a little bit of news now. Look, Man United win a game. Man United win a game, and we're all happy. And I think that's the most important thing. We're all happy. Well, at least I think we're all happy. Because according to various journalists and various ex-players, it doesn't seem like they're very happy. Now, if I was a Manchester United fan, which I am, and if I was an ex-player, should I say, and Man United win a game, I'll be very, very happy. I'll be very giddy. I'll be very enthusiastic. Now, it's very important that we call things in a balanced way. We call things in a way that are, not overly pessimistic, but also not overly zealous, because you can also be toxic positivity as well and not call out the problems that there is. But when you're an ex-player, it really does confuse me that the ex-players are the ones that are going in tenfold on Michael Carrick. They're really going in on Michael Carrick. They're really giving him a hard time, so to speak. Roy Keane, Gary Neville, all these pundits have been giving Michael Carrick a very difficult time. Now, that would be absolutely fine if they were very harsh critics of every team, but they're not harsh critics of every team. They're critics of Manchester United only. I don't see them speaking like this against Pep Guardiola or other. I know that these guys are winners, are serial winners and stuff like that. I know that Pep Guardiola is a serial winner. I know that. I absolutely do. I know, but I'm not hearing it about Arne Slot. I'm not hearing it about any other manager, just Manchester United. And I think there's a balance between unfair criticism and an agenda and constructive criticism. Now, Gary Neville has been speaking to the media, and he said he's still not convinced. I'm not being against Michael Carrick being appointed. I love him to bits, but I think Manchester United should go for the best class of manager available. Now, look, guys, that's well and true, and I say that as well. My choice is Luis Enrique. It would always be Luis Enrique. Second is Nagelsmann, and then third it would be Michael Carrick. That's my opinion. But I want Michael Carrick to succeed. And I don't think that these noises surrounding Michael Carrick really help the cause. If you're a Manchester United fan, I don't really feel that these noises, these negative sound bites really help. We had Roy Keane speaking about it's not good enough support celebrating third. It wasn't about celebrating third. And also what I would say about it is that what do you want Michael Carrick to do? What do you want Michael Carrick to do? At the end of the day, look, I know, in my opinion, for me, at the moment, I'm undecided. I'm going to analyze it at the end of the season. But what on earth do you want Michael Carrick to do? Michael Carrick is not in a league title race. He's not in an FA Cup challenge. He's not in a League Cup. And he's not in the Champions League. So what on earth do you want the guy to do? He can only do what's in front of him, which is win football matches. Yes, it hasn't been amazing, but we're winning football matches consistently most of the time. Right, and we've had a very, very good record this last few months. Now, look, I didn't want Ruben Amorim sacked. I didn't feel that it was fair. But as I said from the beginning, I will support the next manager and I will support the next manager. And Michael Carrick gets the job. He's going to get exactly the same amount of support as other managers have at Man United. But for me, and that's the thing, you have to, look, guys, we have to stop policing celebration, number one. We have to stop policing, enjoying football, enjoying wins, because that's what football is about at the end of the day, enjoying the wins. But it seems that some pundits are hell-bent on taking that away from us. Look, I don't totally criticize Roy Keane and Gary Neville extremely potently. I don't. But the thing is, because I know that they are serial winners. I know what they are. I know what they've won. A couple of those players, a number of the players that ex-Man United players that used to play under Alex Ferguson were highly fortunate, i.e. Gary Neville, that he played under Alex Ferguson and David Beckham in front of him. So this is why I think, a lot of the players in this team, and I will always call it out, right? I will always call it out for what it is. If they were playing in Sir Alex Ferguson's team, in the environment that they were playing, of course, they would be a lot more better. They would be up the league and stuff like that. They'll probably be winning leagues as well. As was proven with Roy Keane, and no disrespect for Roy Keane, in my opinion, is the greatest captain in Premier League history. No disrespect to Roy Keane, but whoever walked into that midfield, as proven when Roy Keane left, we still won trophies, right? What does that tell you? It tells you Alex Ferguson was the main guy. Alex Ferguson was the one that was making it happen. That is what is happening, right? So I would like them to just slightly jump off their high horse, back the manager, back him. We can criticize when we can criticize. I criticize when I criticize. I will call it out for what it is. I will not overly paint it. I will not overly cover it with crap, if you know what I mean. Because at the end of the day, I want Man United to win, and by putting pressure, enormous pressure from ex-players, it's not going to help the cause, and it's not going to help Man United getting in the Champions League. Man United qualified for the Champions League in a season that has been very, very negative, by the way, has been very, very controversial, should I say. We should be looking at that and saying, well, good achievement. We got away with that one. League was poor. Let's go on next season. Let's win the league. Let's go and challenge for the league. Let's challenge for the major trophies. And that's how we should be. And that's how the board should be thinking as well. Michael Carrick has not put pen to paper on a contract at Manchester United. He's not signed a contract at Man United. He's not the Man United manager permanently. So why not just lend him your support? Lend him your support, because you are ex-players. What I say really doesn't matter. I'm not an ex-player of Manchester United. What I say is from a fan's point of view. From a fan's point of view, this is why I'm a fan. So what I say holds little weight compared to what Roy Keane says, what Gary Neville says. Right. And that's because obviously that's going to get to the ears of Michael Carrick. That's going to get straight at him. That's going to hit him. When your ex-teammate is been criticizing you, not only him, obviously there's been Paul Scholes and this and that. Now, I would reiterate, I'm not here to police opinion. I'm not here for that. I agree with some of the things they say. I agree we shouldn't be celebrating third. That's correct. We shouldn't be celebrating third. However, what I would say at this moment in time, context is very important. The context is key here, because at the end of the day, when you're looking at where we are in the league, we got nothing else to play for, guys. We're not going to win the league. This is what it is. And we were never going to win the league this season. So we have got nothing to play for, right? So if Michael Carrick comes in that top 2, top 3, top 4, I think that's good enough. I think he's done his job. And I think we should back that at the end of the day. Like I said, this is the business end of the season. This is where performances don't really matter. And I hate to bring it back to all the years ago when we were winning trebles and stuff like that, and we brought into March and April and May. We just were all about getting the results. We didn't necessarily play vintage, stylish, fantastic football, right? It is all about results. Do I think Michael Carrick ultimately is the right manager? I don't know yet. I don't. But the signs are I don't think he is. And that's from a number of signs, right? That's not just from a results point of view. There's certain games I've looked at this season under Michael Carrick and thought, no. 10 men played against Newcastle, 10 men who plays against Crystal Palace, lucky against Fulham, lucky against West Ham. And I've said it many times. But I'm going to support Michael Carrick. And if Michael Carrick gets the job and he wins the next 8 games, I'm going to be like, yeah, well, he deserves it, doesn't he? He deserves it, and let's back him. Even though I might not think it's the right choice, let's back him, at the end of the day. But what I would say is that I don't think we should delete punditry. I don't think we should delete opinions. I don't want people saying that, because at the end of the day, that's important. But what is very important is to balance things out with context, to balance things out with what Michael Carrick can achieve this season to what he's doing this season. And that's what it is. Ultimately, Michael Carrick was not brought into Manchester United to win Premier League titles right now, this season. He's an interim manager to steady the ship. That's what he is. It was never about Michael Carrick coming in to solidify the league title. It was never like that, right? It was never Michael Carrick coming in to win us multiple titles when we're not even in titles. We're not even in cups, and this is what I would say about it. And I think it's very, very important that we say that as well. The criticism is fair, right? But again, as I said, context is also key here. Context is also key. We have to look at context in every shape and form in regards to football, because, it's very easy to be negative. It's very easy to be like, I'm miserable and overly pessimistic and stuff like that. It's very easy to do that. But at the end of the day, we are in a position where we shouldn't be like overly emphasizing and overly putting pressure on Michael Carrick. I don't think we should be doing that. We could call the birds and the bees. We could say what he's done right. We could say what he's done wrong. We could say about the performances, the team selections and stuff like that. We could talk about that all day long. Absolutely, we can. But what we can also do is bring in a little bit of reality to the proceedings, a little bit of reality, a little bit of a reality bite, so to speak, in regards to where we are right at the moment. Okay, and when Michael Carrick walked into this football club, right. And I just feel like, we need to have better punditry, in particular from our ex-players. It needs to be better. It does need to be better. And then Gary Neville was saying that Manchester United need to sign a player in the Michael Carrick ilk. Basically, Man United need to sign a player that was similar to Michael Carrick as a player. And then you're looking at the contradictions are rife. I don't know where I stand with them, because at the end of the day, yeah, it'd be great if we bought a player like Michael Carrick. He was a great player. He was a world-class player. But what does that have to do with anything? No shit Sherlock, to be honest with you, isn't it? At the end of the day, guys, I would say no shit Sherlock, of course. Of course we need to buy midfielders. That's what we need. That's what we've been talking about for months. Why don't you say to the board, why don't you talk about the board a little bit more? Why don't you talk about Ineos? Why don't you talk about the Glazers? Why don't you talk about them? Before you go in on anything else, talk about them before anything, all right? Talk about them before anything, because it's nothing to do with Michael Carrick. This has nothing to do with Michael Carrick. This is all down to the board. This shit show that has happened this season is all down to the board. And that is what we have to be honest about. And I would love it if one of those pundits, Roy Keane, Paul Scholes, Nicky Butt, Gary Neville, came out and said, well, the board have been useless. I would love them to come out and say that. I would love that to happen. But I doubt that's going to happen, of course. But let me know what you think, guys. I really appreciate everyone being here today. Absolutely. I'm going to get into some transfer news surrounding Man United. A lot of the news that is coming out of Man United in regards to transfers is transfers that have been linked to Man United before. They're transfers that Man United are aware of, because Man United have the same transfer wish list as they had last year, basically, apart from a few. One of the players that was on Manchester United's transfer wish list is a Chelsea player. Believe it or not, a Chelsea player named Andre Santos. Now, for whatever reason, Andre Santos is not quite working out for him well at Chelsea. I don't think it's working out for anyone at Chelsea at the moment. I think the way their model is, I'm not a fan of. If I'm being honest, I don't agree with the way Chelsea do this long-term contractual thing with players and stuff like that, long-term planning and project and stuff like that. But Andre Santos, 21-year-old Brazilian international, four caps for Brazil, Vasco da Gama product, guys, CM guy playing at Chelsea. Very talented player. But like I said, in regards to these players that are playing for Chelsea, it's very difficult for these players to really exert themselves and have an element of consistency, because they've got so many players and they've got this model where there's a long-term project. And players like Andre Santos are, in my opinion, going a little bit wasted. They're going a little bit wasted. And I think that they need to be saved, basically. 45 million for Andre Santos is a lot of money, however. And that won't be 45 million. That will go up to about 55, 60 million. And the problem I have with this deal is that, do we really want to help Chelsea? Do we really want to do that? Do we want to help Chelsea? I say, no, I don't. However, unless it is an exceptional player like Cole Palmer, for example. If it was a Cole Palmer, if it was a Caicedo, if it was one of those players, I'll say, yeah, I'll go for that. Andre Santos is like, got the potential, could be a good player, but not a good player at the moment. But you know what? He's a Brazilian international. Obviously, that's no mean feat as well. And he went to Chelsea, highly talented. And, hasn't really set the world alight. And as I said, nobody has at Chelsea in reality, apart from one or two players, you could argue have done very well at Chelsea. But at the moment, I would say for Andre Santos, I would say no for me. I would say no, plainly because for the fact that we're going to be helping Chelsea. And he's a little bit unproven for me. And but I'd like to know your opinions about Andre Santos, because, Andre Santos was a good player, was a highly touted player when he came to the Premier League, of course, guys, absolutely. Now, another player, guys, that Man United looking at, obviously Man United's defence is a bit of a disarray at the moment. When we're looking at Man United's defence, we're looking at Licha Martinez, injury prone. We're looking at De Ligt, injury prone. You know, we're looking at this. Luke Shaw's a little bit finished. Maguire, is he staying? So Man United are in a bit of a crisis defensively. Now, one defender that Man United are looking at the moment, and we have been looking in Serie A quite potently, to be fair, is Evan Ndika. Evan Ndika, 26-year-old player playing for Roma, is a centre-back, Ivory Coast international, 26 caps for Ivory Coast, valued around 30 million, which is not going to break the bank, although it will go up to about 40 million if we're being honest with ourselves. Now, but Evan Ndika, very talented at that age as well, defensively, where he's got that little bit of experience and got that youth as well. At 26 is a very good age for me, especially when you're a defender. I remember when we were buying Jaap Stam and Nemanja Vidic, it was about that age, 24, 25, 26, that little bracket there. And I think that is the kind of age and profile that we need to be looking at when we're looking at defenders. Look, defensively, obviously, a lot of people are going to say it's not the priority, and I agree. It's not the priority. We got Lenny Yoro, we got Mazraoui, we got Aiden Heaven as well, and we got a number of young, talented players coming through the ranks as well. To be honest, of course. So what I would say is that it wouldn't be a priority for me, but at the same time, I'm not going to let Ineos off the hook. I'm not going to let the Glazers off the hook because Man United need a lot of players. It's as simple as that. We have to be realistic, and they need to do the business. You know, and if Ineos can't do the business and if they can't produce a world-class transfer window, which they need to do this summer, then they are not the right people for the club. I already know they're not the right people for the club, or they shouldn't have bought the club. And that's what I would say about that, absolutely. And Evan Ndika, a player who I've mentioned before, of course, on Stretford Post, capable defender, bring him in, 35 million would be a good buy on any other day, guys. But what we have to look at is that midfield. We have to look at that midfield. And I would really like Man United to fix the midfield and ultimately fix the spine of the team. Now, I'm not sure what's going on with Matthijs de Ligt at the moment. I don't know what's going on with him. Obviously, has been injured for a long while. It's a little bit worrying that we're getting nothing. There were rumours about he's got a back problem. He's got this, he's got that going on. I want to know what's really going on with Matthijs de Ligt, because there's been nothing. There's been absolutely nothing. No one's saying anything about Matthijs de Ligt, but he's been out for months. And we need to look at that. As with Licha Martinez, again, Licha Martinez is not good. He's injured. And again, we can't be carrying these players next season. We can't, guys. And I remember speaking to a Bayern Munich fan beginning of last season. Was it when we signed De Ligt and we signed Mazraoui? And they were saying to me, you know, at the beginning of the season, and they were saying to me, you know what, they're very injury prone. They get injured and you'll out the blue, they'll be injured and they'll be out of the game for a few months. And I was like, what? Because at that time, it's when we just signed De Ligt. And I was saying, well, he hasn't been injured for us. It's absolutely fine, blah, blah, blah. Lo and behold, here we are. Look, you know, he's been injured for months. And what's going on? You know, what's happening with Matthijs de Ligt? We want to know what's going on with him because we want to know if he's okay and if it is a long-term injury or not. Let me just say hello to the community and stuff like that. Hope everyone is well, of course. Hope everyone is blessed, of course, guys. Big up everyone, of course. Big up Sanjay, good morning. Hope you're doing well. Big up Ephraim, good morning. Good morning to Daryl. What's going on, brother? How you doing? Good to see you, of course. Absolutely good to see you. Big up Stephen. What's going on, Stephen? What's going on? Ex-players are fuming that nobody manager is doing a better job than them. At the end of the day, look, you know, like I said, I don't mind opinion. I don't mind as long as it's constructive, as long as it's an opinion that is not filled with hate, you know, and agendas, if you know what I mean. And I don't like agendas. It's like when someone came on my channel during the watch along and they start criticizing Lenny Yoro. I really dislike that for no reason. And when you know when someone doesn't like a certain player and you know that they got an agenda against a certain player, I really dislike that because I don't have agendas against certain players. I could get the game as it is. And even if a player I don't rate does well, I call it as it is. He's doing well today, like Luke Shaw at the weekend. Luke Shaw had a good game at the weekend. And I said he had a good game at the weekend. It was one of the man of the matches at the weekend. And I'm not a big fan of Luke Shaw at this present moment. I was, but I'm not anymore. I don't like agendas in general in football because it shows you're not speaking from a point of logic and context. You're speaking from a point of emotion. And that's where I like to put it to bed. It's like they don't want us to do well. Probably what it is it's a self-righteous thing, isn't it? At the end of the day. And like I said at the beginning of the show, these players were playing in an era when it was easy for them. They could slot into that team and it would be absolutely perfect. I'm not taking away what they achieved. Roy Keane's still the greatest midfielder of a generation, right? Gary Neville's still one of the best right backs I've ever seen. But what I would say is that they did come in at a time, right, when Alex Ferguson was there, and no matter who came into that team, whether it was Gary Neville, whether it was Paul Parker, whether it was Wesley Brown, right, whoever came into that team, Man United still won football matches. Why is that? No, because they came in at a time when it was easy. Anyone that came into Man United, majority, could come into that team, slot right into that team, and Man United would still win trophies. Whether it was Tom Cleverley, whether it was Jonathan Spector, no matter who it was, no matter who, Jonathan Curtis, no matter who it was, Man United will still be challenging because Man United had the environment that was there already. Right at the moment, Man United are an absolute mess from top to bottom. Culturally, we are an absolute mess at this football club. So we have to look at things in context. We have to look at things in a way that is fair on Michael Carrick, right? At the end of the day, and I said this under Ruben Amorim, and I said this under Eric Ten Hag. The same problems are still there, guys. The problem is still there. The problem that we've been mentioning, many of us, for months and months and months, if not years and years and years, is still there. So whatever manager comes in, they're going to have the same problems as well, because it's a culture problem. Big up, Amal. How you doing? Good to see you, of course. By the way, Michael Carrick is doing a good advantageous for us. As Mark pointed out, the only manager that can replace Carrick are elite managers like Enrique, Nagelsmann, etc. This is exactly what we've been saying. I think people with logic speak like this. We're not saying that Michael Carrick is the Messiah. We're not saying that Michael Carrick is the next rebirth of Alex Ferguson. We're not saying that. What we're saying is that if there is a Luis Enrique available in the summer and Man United are capable of getting Luis Enrique or Nagelsmann, get those two managers because they're better. And that is a fact, right? That's currently a fact, right? They are better than Michael Carrick as a manager. And I look at that fairly. I even think Ruben Amorim is a better manager than Michael Carrick. But Michael Carrick is a simple manager. He's a manager that's simple. But at the end of the day, you can only get the results. You can only get the results that you put in front. Look, I've been disappointed by a number of the performances. I was very disappointed and fuming. Thank God I didn't do the watching on for the Newcastle United game. I was fuming at the Newcastle United game. I was angry at the Crystal Palace game because of the way we played against 10 men, let alone the Newcastle game. But that result was coming, and I will criticise. But when you're looking at things from above and you're looking at things from a fair context point of view, you have to be fair and you have to call things fairly, of course. Absolutely. What did Gary Neville say? Did he put the foot in again? I get the criticism, etc. I reckon that's fair, but snide remarks from legends is a bit out of order, and isn't it helpful? That's exactly right. Reverse them, exactly that word there, snide remarks. Criticism is part of the football, and I don't want anyone to discount criticism because criticism is a very, very important path to success. Criticism is important. Alex Ferguson used to criticize, and it's very important that any walk of life you have criticism, because without criticism, you will not improve. But what you do, you praise when praise is worthy, and you don't have snide remarks, like you said. You don't have bitter remarks, and which so blatantly adds to the narrative that it's like an agenda. You know what I mean? And I agree with that. And I feel like there has to be a balance. There has to be a balance. You can call the game with Michael Carrick. Okay, look, I'm not one to be celebrating third place. I think third place would be good right now for Man United. It's probably the highest we can get. Maybe we can get second place, like I said many times, but people like to twist it. Maybe we can get second place. But I would say third place for now is a good stepping stone for next season. And nobody really who's been a Man United fan for as long as I have is celebrating third place. We know where we need to be. I know where Man United need to be. I know Man United should be challenged for league titles, whatnot. I know what we should be doing. I've been there, seen it, done it, won the T-shirt, bought the mug. You know what I mean? At the end of the day. And that's what I would say about that. Good morning, Revert 7, by the way. Good morning to you. They cannot go for mid managers like Glasner to Zabi. This is the biggest thing. Like if it's Glasner, Ariola, or any De Zerbi or any manager like that, I'm saying no straight away. I'm keeping Carrick. I'm not going for these subpar overrated managers. As I said, there's only two for me, Nagelsmann and Luis Enrique. Luis Enrique right at the top of the tree for me. If we manage to prize Luis Enrique away from PSG, I think that will be very good for Man United. And I think he's the kind of manager that I look at and think, yeah, he's going to be a potential title winner. I really do think that. The thing with Luis Enrique that I like, that he's strict, he's good man manager, he's a good tactician, he plays a good brand of football. Everything about Luis Enrique is there. And also he believes in youth. He brings through youth. He doesn't just sign Galacticos. He brings through youth and he develops youth. And for me, he just seems like the perfect manager for Manchester United. I'm being real with you guys. It just seems like a perfect manager for Man United. That's not to say that if Luis Enrique or Nagelsmann are not available, that Michael Carrick can't become a world-class manager. Because we look at things very, very in tunnel vision. We look at, oh, you know what? He's a superstar and he's a superstar, so we want him. Why can't Michael Carrick become that manager? And that's what I want to say. How did Pep Guardiola become a Barcelona player to becoming a world-class manager? You know what I mean? How did Luis Enrique come from being a Barcelona player to being a world-class manager? Given the opportunity, wasn't he, at the end of the day? And now we're looking at Cesc Fabregas, who's doing very well at Como, given the opportunity, you know. It's not to say that Michael Carrick will become that manager. It's not to say that he won't become that manager. But we have to look at things in context and we have to analyse things fairly. One thing I would say, which I agree with Gary Neville about, is that if Michael Carrick does get the position as Manchester United manager, he needs to be backed just like a Luis Enrique, just like a Nagelsmann. He needs to be backed just the same. And not that, oh, it's Luis Enrique, he's one of the lads sort of thing, and we're only going to give him a couple of signings. They need to back him tenfold, of course. Stephen, what's going on, my friend? Hope you're doing well. I want to call Roy Keane Manuel 40 Towers, as he knows nothing. Roy Keane knows a lot. He's a treble winner, Manchester United. He knows a lot about football. The problem with Roy Keane, he speaks a lot on emotion. And that's what I would say. I will never discount Roy Keane for what he knows, because he has done the business. He's won multiple titles for Man United. So he knows what he's talking about in regards to that. He's a little bit over the top. That's what I would say, Stephen. It's not that he doesn't know anything, because he does. And he's the greatest captain in history of the Premier League, in my opinion. It's not that he doesn't know anything. That guy was a manager on the pitch. I think the fact is that I think he speaks on a level that is Man United are the 1995 Man United or the 1999 Man United. He speaks like that. Right, we're not that team. We haven't got Paul Scholes, David Beckham, and Ryan Giggs in our team. Like, at the end of the day, we have to look at where we are. That's what we have to. We have to look at where we are, and we have to look at realistically and look at context of the situation. That's where I think Roy Keane goes wrong. I think Roy Keane doesn't look at context. He doesn't look at what we are, where we are. But what I would love, Stephen, what I would love these pundits to do, ultimately, what I would love out of everything, is that I would love them to call out the owners. I would love them to call out the Glazers. I would love them to call out Ineos. That's what I would love them to do, because ultimately they are the board are the problem, not Michael Carrick. It's the board. They are the problem. Whether we're successful or not, a huge part of that will be because of the board, not because of Michael Carrick. Big up, Stephen. It's good to see Stephen Dalton in the house. Good to see you, of course. Amal, how you doing? As Keane said earlier, people are giddy about us being third. What makes Keane giddy is challenging for trophies and titles. That's correct. And that's everyone's opinion. And I am like that as well. I get giddy when we challenge for titles. Like I said, I like this. I like working these parts of my arms. I like lifting trophies. I said that. And I was raised on Man United winning trophies, you know, at the end of the day. But my opinion is, what do they want Roy Keane to, what do they want Michael Carrick to do right now? Michael Carrick can't win the league. Michael Carrick can't win the FA Cup. He's not in it. Michael Carrick can't win the League Cup. He's not in it. Michael Carrick can't win the Champions League. He's not in it. So what are they trying to get at here? That's what I'm telling you. What do they want Michael Carrick to do? Michael Carrick can only do what his task is getting Man United into the Champions League, which he's doing very well at the moment, and getting Man United into the Champions League. That is Man United. That is Michael Carrick's objective, right? This season, get us into the Champions League. Everyone knows we get giddy, we get excited. We're Man United fans. Some people say we can win the league. We still can win it. We don't really mean that. But We're not in any trophies. So I want to know, what is Roy Keane getting at the moment? What scenario is Roy Keane looking at here? What are we looking at? Yes, next season we can start talking about titles. We start talking about FA Cups and League Cups and Champions Leagues again, if we're in it. We can start looking at that. Of course we can. But this season, the main priority is getting Champions League. And I think if Roy Keane came out and said, look, we're not winning anything, we should aspire to win trophies. We should aspire to win league titles and Champions League and FA Cups and whatnot. We should aspire to that. But this season, of course, we can't win that. So getting into the Champions League is a priority as a step to step on, as a stepping stone. Right? And that's what it should be. It's a stepping stone. Then next season, I would like Man United, given the ball, do their job effectively. I would like Man United to challenge, to go from third to second, challenging for third. Why not? Why not? We're third. We're not 13th. You know, why can't we go from third to second, second to first? Why can't we do that? And that should be the plan. Next season, I agree. We can start bringing in all these scenarios and this and that, you know, and we should be challenged for league titles. But right now, as I said, Michael Carrick is coming at the point of a season where we're not in any trophies. We're not in any competition. So what do they want him to do? I think they should just lay off him a little bit, criticize where they need to critique, look at the players. Don't just criticize the manager, look at the players as well, because a lot of those players have sacked various managers over the years. A lot of those players are part of the reason where we are. Do you know what I mean? At the end of the day. Revert 7. I'm very optimistic on the match days. Some would say blindly, but what's the point of being negative? During the match day Revert 7, I've said it many, many times. It's like when I go to Old Trafford and I cheer Man United and I sing songs of Man United. On the match day, there's no point being negative. I've said that. You know, you can have your criticism, Revert 7, about the lineup. And I always do. I think that's fair. I think you could say, well, why is he playing? He should be playing, blah, blah, blah. And I think that's part of football. That's part of football. But as soon as that whistle goes for the start of the game, we are Man United fans and we're supporting Man United no matter who the manager is. We're supporting Man United and we want Man United to win. And I think that is the most important thing. You know, on match day, myself, my ritual, I don't like to be too negative. I don't, because it's like I'm in that zone where I'm like, I want Man United to win and, you know, I want to think positively, because I do think energy resonates and I do think negativity and positivity have different effects and stuff like that. So I am generally more positive. I do criticize the lineup when the lineup's announced. I say, well, you know what? He's played him again. He's got Dalot there. He's got Luke Shaw again. He's got this, Bremo, false number 9. I do call it as it is. Of course I do. But I'm not too overly negative. That I leave that for the rest of the week. Agree, Sal. Needs a bit of balance in criticism. Yes, it's a balance at the end of the day, because some of these pundits, look, Roy Keane's not a Man United fan. Roy Keane's a Tottenham fan, by the way. And maybe that's why he's so miserable. He's a Roy Keane. He's been a Tottenham fan all his life. So that's the remedy. Be a Tottenham fan, become a good Man United fan, because you've got that anger from Tottenham and you bring that anger from Tottenham to Man United. Absolutely, that's what you do. Big up LT, how you doing, my friend? Hope you're doing well. My only issue with ex-players is that they're modest. They're mostly negative in their punditry of United, whether rightly or wrongly, and we won't hear them calling out the ownership. But that's the key there, LT. Exactly that. They will not call out the ownership. They will not say anything remotely positive about a result or something like that. You know, they will not call out the ownership. You know, and that is what's the biggest disappointment for me, because that's the biggest problem at Manchester United. They will not call out the ownership. I want to see Gary Neville. I want to see Roy Keane talking about, you know what, Man United need to fix that midfield in the summer. Ineos got a massive job in the summer. Ineos got a massive rebuilding job. They're losing about 8-9 players, Man United. So they've got a lot of players they've got to start signing. The World Cup is on. It's going to be difficult. That kind of punditry. That is what I want to see. You know, and then they're going to have to make a big decision about Michael Carrick, whether Michael Carrick's the guy or not. And if he is the guy, are they going to back him to the level that he deserves to be backed? And that's what I want to see. I don't want to see, you know, just continually going down that same old repetitive cycle. Blame the manager, blame the manager, blame the manager. And that's what they do. And this is what I've been saying a long, long time ago, guys. Blame the manager, blame the manager. And content creators do it. They love to blame the manager. It gets likes and clicks. They love to blame individual players. It gets likes and clicks and things like that. I don't. I like to look at things in a balanced way, of course. Exactly. Neville should put Ineos and Rat in the spotlight, but conflicting interests. Yeah, it's a conflicting of interest. Hotel football and all that. He wants the new stadium. He wants the new hotel football. It's going to be beneficial to him and his family, and I think that's all he cares about at the end of the day. I, for the life of me, cannot see Gary Neville celebrating Man United winning titles right now and things like that. He's more like he's a businessman. That's what he is for me. I don't class him as a Man United fan like I used to. I mean, obviously, when I was raised watching Gary Neville play football, kissing his badge and whatnot, he was a big Man United fan for me. But now I just don't get that vibe from him that he really cares about the club. I think he cares more now about his own pockets. Obviously, there is that narrative where the legacy of Manchester United in regards to those players, Roy Keane, Paul Scholes, Nicky Butt, Gary Neville, all these players, they've got their legacy and they're legends at Man United. They will forever be legends at Manchester United. And I will never take that away from them. They will always be legends at Man United. But this thing where Man United being successful is going to kind of diminish their legacy, I don't know. Because why would they want no one's going to diminish their legacy. This Man United team is not winning a treble anytime soon. This Man United team is not winning multiple 11, 12 Premier League titles anytime soon. So I don't know about that diminishing their legacy. I don't know. But if it is that, then they got a serious problem. Delusions of grandeur. I don't know what it is, guys. I don't know what the word is that you call it, but it's really weird. Absolutely. Ephraim. Sal, my problem is that some of our ex-players do not criticize the owners and they criticize. Yes, exactly that. As I just mentioned, big up. Fans should ramp up the pressure on the board. I think that's the only way to chase the rats. Few good results and fans forget about the narrative. Exactly that, Amal. I think many of us have said this. As soon as we start getting a few good results, it's songs and all happy-go-lucky, lovey-dovey stuff. And this is the problem with Man United fan base. We're very... we're like throw our rattles out of our pram and then we're given a sweetie and then we're okay again. That's exactly what Man United fans are like. We go and we want Glazers out, so we want Glazers out. Hit the hop, hit the bit, don't stop, the bigger beat, that sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? And then we stop after one protest. Wow. And the protest isn't like a protest like an Inter Milan or an AC Milan or whatever protest or a Roma protest. And the protest is actually like a song and dance. That's what it is. And I'm not saying this to be critical because at least they're doing something. But don't do nothing if you're not going to do it consistently. Retire. That's it. Because at the end of the day, look, we ourselves are our own worst enemy. We are our own worst enemy. We are not intimidating. We are not scary. We are not convincing. We are not serious. We're not. And that's one thing I would say about the ownership. Now, of course, people are looking ahead to the summer. We're all looking ahead to the summer. What they're going to do in the summer? Are they going to sign this many players? Are they going to replace the players that are leaving? Blah, blah, blah. The $1 million question, isn't it? We know as well as you know as well as I do that they're not going to have a summer where at the end of the summer transfer window, we're going to go, wow, they went in this time. Well done. We know that. We know we're going to be disappointed. We know we're going to be fed up and angry because they didn't replace the players that needed to be replaced. They didn't fix the areas that needed to be fixed. This is where the pressure should mount. And this is where the ex-players should put all their energy towards. Not Michael Carrick. Michael Carrick's an interim manager of Manchester United. Right? He's got the cojones to go out there and manage Manchester United. He's got the guts to go out there and manage. I'm not criticising Roy Keane. Obviously, there's a reason why Roy Keane hasn't been back at Man United. One of them is Sir Alex Ferguson, of course. Alex Ferguson won't allow Roy Keane back at Man United. I think it's bad. But he's an interim manager of Manchester United. Start putting the pressure on the board. Exactly. That's what I would say. Kerwin, what's going on, my friend? I'll be doing well. One of the only players remind me a little bit of Carrick is Sandberg for Fulham, but he's 28 and Ineos won't go there. It's a big praise indeed. He's a good player, Sandberg. It's big praise indeed, but you're absolutely right. He is 28. He's fallen on the wayside, as Amal said. I don't think he is that now. He was when he first came in the league, but not anymore, I think. Yeah, you know what happens when you stay at a certain club, especially of the club that he's at Fulham. What happens is that you stagnate. you start declining and stuff like that, because obviously the mentality of that football club starts getting ingrained into you and stuff, and you start becoming a Fulham player. That's what happens. So, you know, you have to catch them when they're still hot, of course. And yeah, I agree with Amal there. I heard De Ligt is out for the season. Probably, yes. Probably. The way things are going, the fact that we haven't heard anything is the big thing. LT, my concern is that I don't hear about fullbacks. It's been made clear that we're looking at for midfielders and right wingers, but I don't hear fullbacks because I go into next season with Shaw and Dalot. I'm hearing a few. Obviously, there's a few fullbacks that Man United are being linked to. Of course, the Frankfurt fullback, the right back from Frankfurt. Of course, we are being linked to. We've been linked to. I mentioned a lot of left backs on this channel as well that we're being linked to. There is a number of players that Man United are looking at. Happy to see Dorgu back next season as well. Hopefully, Dorgu's injury isn't a long-term thing. Happy to see Dorgu back, of course. But yeah, look, Man United have got a massive job on their hands this summer, especially with the World Cup being on and stuff like that. You know, they've got a huge job on their hands. Transfers should be at the forefront of their mind even now. They should be thinking about how we're gonna fix this squad. He's leaving. Shaw is too old. You know, Dalot is not good enough. Leach is injury prone. De Ligt is injury prone, and we have to think like that. We can't think, oh, it's just one injury, he's going to be fine, because it's not one injury. I'd say that at the beginning of the show that a Bayern Munich fan came up to me when we signed De Ligt and said that he's injury prone. We need to look at that. We need to look at that and think about the players. Like Casemiro will be leaving the football club, you know, and this is what I want to be seeing. You know, Man United priority should be the fullbacks and the midfield. Absolutely. I'm not seeing enough overlapping runs from the fullback positions, and I think this is a big part of the way we play football. You know, over the years when Man United was successful, one of the key characteristics of Man United was overlapping fullbacks. We don't have that anymore. Well, not as much as we used to, you know, and creating from the fullback positions. It's like I said yesterday, I was trying to explain about the low block, right? When teams play the low block against you, teams sort of narrow the game. They narrow the pitch. You have to pass that ball through the middle, right? You have to have a good pass. This is why Alex Ferguson signed Michael Carrick and players like that. You have to have that eye of a needle pass into the middle, into the forward. And then you drag the opposition team that are trying to play a low block to you. And then you've got fullbacks that are overlapping, and you've got wingers that are trying to spread the game as well. And that's what happens. But you need your fullbacks. You need your fullback, because even if you've got a back five, right, there's nothing you can do when you've got a winger running in, right? He's like, for example, let me give you an example. Ahmad is running in, right? And he goes on his left foot and he's running in. And then you got your overlapping run over there. And then they're like this, the fullbacks like this. Obviously, one defender can act as cover, but they're going to be looking there as well, and like that. And that's what you need to do. But we don't have that with our fullbacks. Our fullbacks are very static. Our defenders are very static. Yesterday, on the weekend, I did say that against Aston Villa that we were walking pace at times. And this is what shouldn't happen at Man United. We should never be walking pace. Good morning, Paul. How you doing, my friend? Hope you're doing well. Hope you're good. Good to see you, of course. Good morning, David. Hope you're doing well. Good morning, Robert. Good to see you, mate. Hope you're doing well. We are the worst run big club in Europe. Yes, Revert saying we are the worst big pound for pound. We are the worst big club run big club in Europe, in the world. Yeah, I've said this many times. We are, considering who we are, and not only that, we are the worst. How would I say it? Team, we are the worst fan base, right, who accept it. Of all the big clubs in the world, no big club in the world would have accepted this, not even Liverpool. What's going on at Man United? No big club would have accepted what's going on at Man United right now. The fans would not have accepted it. The protest would have been more potent. The protest would have been more aggressive. The protest would have been more consistent. It would have been more intimidating as well. No big club would be accepting like we are as well. And that's what I would say about that. Do you know what I mean? Lisa, big up. Hope you're doing well. Good to see you. Hi, Sal. What about Kone in midfield? Hope Carrick give him some playtime. I've heard a lot about Kone. He's a little bit lightweight at the moment. And again, he's not ready. And we have to accept that for Michael Carrick and other people in the team. Second Kone, is a future player. He's a future player. The thing is, I do think he needs a loan in England. I think we need to loan him out. I think we shouldn't be looking at Kone. We should be looking at Anderson and Stiller and these players now. Man United need ready-made players. I look at Kone and goodness me, that guy needs to eat. He's so skinny, and I think that he needs a loan in the Championship or something like that, and let's see how he goes. I hope he comes good. I just don't think he's ready. And it's just like Chido Obi Martin, or they called it Bambi on ice, didn't they? They called it Chido Obi Martin. Look, I hope these players come good, but it's very difficult. But I would say that to get to know players, to get to know how good a player is, they need to play first team football. And like I've said many times, if we were in the FA Cup and the League Cup, maybe we could have seen more Seko Kone, maybe we could have seen JJ Gabriel and players like that coming through. What I've heard from various figures at Man United, that Seko Kone physically is not ready, technically is not ready. That's what I've heard. Right. But how can he be physically ready if he's not given an opportunity? And that's the thing, Casemiro has been brilliant, though, I would say. And we need Casemiro. We need him to play. At this time of the season, it's very difficult, I would say. But for me, I know the good players because I watch a lot of youth players. I watch a lot of youth football. I'm also watching Lausanne as well in Switzerland and looking at the loans. And I would say that the only player that I look at, there's players that I look at right now that for me are ready for the Man United team are Shea Lacey, Thwaites, JJ Gabriel. I think he's going to be ready next season. And these are the players I look at, right? And I think they're ready. And at the end of the day, not every player is going to make it. And that's what we have to understand as well. Not every player makes it, even in the class of 92. We all know that Robbie Savage was in the class of 92. Exactly. That Dowman kid looks decent in that cameo, innit? I first saw him alive for FA Cup game against Emirates last year. Youngest Premier League player ever. Hopefully JJ will challenge that. Yeah. Unfortunately, because of his birthday, JJ Gabriel couldn't play this season. Next season he can play, but because his birthday falls on I think 4 September or whatever, it's a certain date that he couldn't play for Man United. Dowman's an excellent prospect, yeah. But as with everything, what I say about young players, don't put too much pressure on them. Don't put too much pressure on them. Let them develop how they are, because it's not about putting pressure on them. It's about ego. I don't want these players getting ego. I want them to carry on and perfecting their craft. And this is why football has declined, right? This is why football has regressed. It's because footballers are too rich too soon. It's as simple as that. They're pampered too soon. And they've made it before they've made it, if you know what I mean. And when JJ Gabriel turned 16, every single big club in Europe is going to be looking at JJ Gabriel. Every single big club is going to be looking at JJ Gabriel. And this is where the ego comes in. This is where their head starts getting inflated. And this is my biggest concern. This is where I have the problem, Carrick will be the yes man of Ineos if he gets a full-time job. Look, at the end of the day, listen, I hope he doesn't. I hope he isn't. But, obviously we have to look at things critically, and we have to look at things from a point of view. Is he going to be a yes man for Ineos? Now, we could say that. And we could say, I know Carrick, in regards to his personality. And Carrick is like a kind of, he'll do things silently. He's not a loud mouth. But is he a pushover? I mean, I don't think you become a captain of Man United if you're a pushover, but it is something to look at. Is it an easy option for Ineos? Is it an easy option for the Glazers? You have to say yes. Is it a cheap option for Ineos? Is it a cheap option for the Glazers? You have to say yes. So we have to look at everything critically. Of course we do. But ultimately, what's the most important thing here? Is that Ineos do their job, the Glazers do their job, and back whoever the manager is and get the players in that we need. That's what they need to do. You know what I mean? V, what's going on, my friend? Looking at PSG and City setup, management of those clubs and everything set up, Enrique and Pep to succeed when they come in looking at our dear Man U. I don't trust our management to do what's right. Probably not, V. Probably not. It depends how the project is sold, isn't it? The project has to be sold to Luis Enrique. It's not just about throwing money at Luis Enrique. It's about selling a project. What is our ambition? are we there to win a league? If it's between Manchester City and Man United, it depends. Let me tell you why. Because Luis Enrique knows Man United. Luis Enrique played against Man United. Luis Enrique was a Barcelona legend, and he played against Man United in the Champions League. Luis Enrique knows what Man United are. Luis Enrique knows what Manchester City are. It depends what Luis Enrique's mentality is. Does he want to go to Man United and awaken the beast, so to speak, and make Man United great again? Or does he want to go to the ready-made thing there in Manchester City and carry on the Pep Guardiola legacy, right? It depends what his personality is. Now, that depends on the board, that depends on Ineos, and that depends selling the project. We want to make Manchester United great again. We want to make Man United the champions again. And Luis Enrique, you are the guy to take us to the promised land. We believe you are the guy, and we will give you the tools to do the job. That's what I want to see. That is what the board have to do. They have to sell him it. It has to be all about Luis Enrique, not Jason Wilcox, Vivel, Barada. Luis Enrique. That's what it has to be, you know, and we'll have to wait and see. Long way to go. LT, this season is a proof that the only reason we are not competing for title is bad ownership, because we're third despite the shit show happening with the board. Exactly. We have the aura and pull to attract the best. Exactly. Now, maybe if we had, instead of having a 4 out of 10 window, LT, we had a 7 or 8 out of 10 window, maybe Man United might be second right now. We don't know, isn't it? It's up in the air. You know, maybe Man United might be second right now, you know? It's the thing. And even this January, when we didn't sign anybody, even this January, someone to come in and help with the squad. You know, someone coming in, you know what I mean? Amal, we need to work hard to elite managers who have done well in the Champions League. Remember, even Leicester won a Premier League in an off-season, but we need to build something like dynasty. Yeah, and that can only be done with a manager like Luis Enrique, in my opinion. Backing relentlessly. Why are Arsenal where they are right now? Why are they where we are? Why are they where they are, should I say? Why are Arsenal there? Relentless backing the project, you know? No matter what it takes, getting rid of certain players that need to go, even if they're fan favourites. Even Arsenal are showing us how to do it. Big up, Richard. How you doing, my friend? Hope you're doing well. Good to see you, of course. United still need 2 summer transfer windows, and then we can start challenging properly for the league. I say 1, Richard. Why can't Man United challenge for the league? Why are we going easy on Ineos? They need 8 or 9 players this season challenge for the bloody league. We're third. What's the difference to coming third and first? It's not much difference there. You know, we're 7 points from second. 7 points. And we drew against Bournemouth, we drew against Fulham, we drew against West Ham. If we converted all those draws into wins, we'll be second right now. Do you know that? So why can't we come first next season? This is the mentality we need to change, Richard. We need to change this, and we need to put the pressure on those clowns at the board. You know, we need to put pressure on them. This is the mentality we need to change. Why can't we? Why do we always have to kick the ball down the road? Why do we always have to say, oh, maybe 2 more transfer windows? Do it this transfer window, for crying out loud. We're losing Rasmus, Sancho, Rashford, Casemiro are leaving the football club. Mason Mount might leave the football club. Ugarte might leave the football club. Maguire might leave the football club. Anana's leaving the football club. Go and replace those players and bring in quality, and let's challenge for that league. And that is how we should be with Manchester United. You know, stop kicking the ball down the road, expecting everything, you know, to fall into place, because other teams are going to improve too. So just do it now. You know, do it now, and let's not worry about, you know, the season after next, or the next couple of windows and stuff. The reason they don't call it ownership is because they want the spotlight and the perks from United. So, yeah, look, at the end of the day, for example, I'll give you an example. I know that the players, they have season tickets for their friends and families. They don't want to upset, obviously, the board, because they could easily take away those season tickets from them and stuff like that. So all those little perks, like you said, Amar, is exactly what they're looking at, and that's why they don't want to call them out. It's exactly that. But it is irritating. It is annoying. I'd rather them not be on television, talk about Man United, you know. Big up, Kenny. Hope you're doing well. Watch along today, Sal. What's the game today? I don't even know. But keep your notifications on. I might do. Let's wait and see, guys. Wait and see. At least Keane wants what's best for the club. Neville can absolutely piss off. Absolutely. Businessmen have no loyalty to community. Look at Trump. Only loyalty is money. Exactly, my friend. Amal, Beckham, though, tried to get Qatar. Yes, Beckham's the only one. Like I've said, Amar, Beckham and Cantona are the two guys that I'll have at Man United. And I don't say that easily. Beckham and Cantona are the only two guys that I believe in at Man United. They're the only two, you know? And I think they're like with Beckham back in Qatar, for example. Beckham loves Man United. He says it all the time. I've never seen Gary Neville say he loves Man United. I've never seen Roy Keane say he loves Man United. He doesn't. Beckham does. Cantona does. Why have we not got these guys back at the club? What's going on? You know. Would you sign Jane goes alongside Baleba? I wouldn't sign any of them. I would sign Wharton and Anderson this summer, but not Baleba. No, Baleba. Why are we signing Baleba, Richard? What under what circumstances? Performance. What he can be, if he may be a good player. We sign him because he might be a good player. Are we going to do that and spend 80, 90 million on a player that he might come good? No, not for me. I've deleted Baleba. I don't think he's good enough for Man United. And that's it. We have to say he's a one-hit wonder. Ephraim, smash the likes, but in regards to Anderson and Wharton, yeah, Stiller, yeah, those sort of players. Amadou Onana, yeah, those sort of players. I look at those sort of players that are performing consistently. Smash the likes. Thank you so much, Ephraim, legend, of course. Guys, can we get to 50 likes today? Come on, guys. Let's get there. Shock transfer news. I've mentioned it at the beginning of the show, Kenny. Big up, Kenny. The closest we came to chase those owners away was when we tried to bring the Super League in. Yeah, but they threw sand in the eyes and divided. Yeah, well, what they did, they had a Skype meeting, whatever it was, and some of these 40-year-old, 60-year-old fans had stars in their eyes. They couldn't believe who they were talking to, and they just forgot about everything. Everything's all right now. It's like in the summer when we were linked to Baleba. Do you remember when we were linked to Baleba and everyone says no protest, no more protest? Let's cancel the protest because we're going to sign Baleba. I actually had someone on my Twitter page come to me and say, you should apologize to Jim Ratcliffe. You were wrong about Jim Ratcliffe when we were linked to Baleba. And lo and behold, we didn't sign Baleba. So stupid, isn't it? These clowns. Oh, my goodness me. You know, one thing that people need to do is understand who the flipping hell I am. You know what I mean? They don't know who I am. So they need to be quiet and they need to just concentrate on their Twitter fame, you know, at the end of the day. Really annoy me, these people. Like, you should apologize to Jim Ratcliffe because you were wrong about him. Absolute clowns. They look stupid now, though. So how many signings away from Challenger title? About roughly 8, which is possible. We're losing 8, around that much. I think we are around 8 signings away to Challenger title, though, in my opinion. Yes, I agree. I don't think we're actually even that far. The only problem is obviously we need a squad because of the Champions League and stuff like that. But I think if Man United sign 8 players, we should be challenged for the league. And there's no reason why we can't do that. Yeah, Dorgan will be back soon, hopefully. Morning, Dan. How you doing, my friend? Hope you're doing well. Carrick is a stopgap manager. He put the basics back into the Man United side, but he's not for the future. Fair point, Dan. Hope you're well. Amal, by the way, have you seen a little lack of penetration from Dorgu injury? He was an ace up our sleeves during these tough games. Yeah, he's a good player. He'll be back. He'll be back, guys. He'll be back. Don't worry about that. Kenny, what are the thoughts on fans chanting 1 more year for Casemiro? I like it. I like the vibes, but they're not going to give him 1 more year. Well, 350 grand a week. We have 2 options here, guys. We give Casemiro a year and we sign an extra midfielder. We give Casemiro a year and we don't sign an extra midfielder, or we don't give Casemiro an extra year and we sign an extra midfielder. That's how it works with Ineos. So we can either keep Casemiro, who can't play 60 minutes, and keep him till next season, and don't sign a new midfielder, a young up-and-coming athletic midfielder, or we don't keep Casemiro. We let him go as planned, and then we sign a midfielder. Casemiro's on 350 grand a week. Obviously, you know, they're going to be looking at that as well. FFP is very, very funny, of course, you know, is funny. Big up everyone, by the way. Big up everyone. I hope everyone's well. Guys, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to become a member. Don't forget to drop those super chats as well. If you love the channel, help push the channel, and it all gets reinvested in the channel, guys. Help support the channel would be great, guys. Let's keep it going and let's keep believing, guys. And let's hopefully that we get the win on Friday. Look out for my videos up and coming, guys. My videos will be up and coming, pre-recorded and live, of course. So put your notifications on. You never know when I'm going live and stuff like that, of course, guys. So do that. Smash a like on the video if you guys can do that. That'd be absolutely fantastic. Big up everyone. Sorry, I can't read out everyone's comments, guys. Loads of comments. Big up everyone for joining me this morning. I really appreciate everyone, guys. And Mark, big up Mark. What's going on? How you doing? Airspace has been locked off, Sal. I'm hoping I can get out the 27th. I'm best man for my bud's wedding. Mark, you know what you got to do in life? You know what you got to do in life, like I did? Predict, foresee the future. This is not getting any better, mate. And that's why we went where we went. Eventually the airspace is going to be locked off more potently, and it's going to be locked off for a long time, and I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but this is one of my flights was cancelled, and then we rebooked it, but we booked 2 flights just in case we booked 2 flights, Mark. Even if we lost money on that other flight, we booked 2 flights, and luckily the one to Milan went ahead, and we went. But it's not going to get any better, Mark. Fingers crossed for you, brother. Fingers crossed for you. 27th of March, a lot can happen. It can get better. It can get worse. That's why we just went when we could. Do you know what I mean? At the end of the day. Red Times. Chelsea apparently banned from transfers. They're banned for 1 transfer window, but that is a 2-year suspension ban. So they can still buy players now. They can still buy players now. So it's a 2-year suspension. So we have to wait 2 years until they get it banned. Guys, I want to thank everyone. Guys, please, I ask you kindly, please don't forget to smash a like on the video. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to do all that business, guys, all that jazz. And please don't forget to put your notifications on in case I do go live, guys. Absolutely. And really appreciate everyone for their support. Thank you so much. See you later, guys. Put your notifications on in case I do go live, of course. See you soon. Peace.